Itself. We're here with John Blue.
Yes, great to be back.
It's great to have you, man. We're really excited. This is he's now considered a regular on the Dr. Hockey podcast.
I like that.
Yes, I think this is it's your third one, right?
Yes, yeah.
So just to John Blue was a goalie in the NHL. Played for both the Boston Bruins and the Buffalo Sabres, and is really an analytic thinker about the game, big hockey IQ, and as he said, had the absolutely most average career in the NHL that he can really think
Incredibly
of.
average. I love it.
Let me ask you a question though. What's
Yes.
the mentality of a goalie as opposed to any other player where you'd want to have a piece of vulcanized rubber fired at you at 100 miles an
Oh,
hour?
I'm an idiot.
Is that across the board for goalies? Is that just how it is? Or?
I'm like, and I'm not built, I was never built to be a goalie. I'm an angry person, I'm an emotional person, I'm not a calm person, and all the things you need to be as a goalie is calm, not emotional, and not angry. So
And you're all those things.
I'm all those things. It's
That's amazing.
unbelievable. I should
But
have
is
been
that the
forward.
mentality it takes to be someone that is a goalie, or is that across the board, or are other guys not like that?
They're
No.
not like that.
No, they're not
But you
idiots,
have
no.
to have something wrong with you to want to be on the receiving end of those pucks.
You know,
On some level.
what happens is your dad throws you in a goal, or you love the equipment when you're a little kid, so
Right.
you jump in, and then if you're that competitive, you hate to lose, so you just start fighting.
Because in my mind, the goalie is one of the few positions in hockey you actually have the most control over the game, I would think.
Yeah.
I mean,
Last
you're
defender.
not while you're not shooting the puck, whatever. You're the one. Yeah, you're the last bastion of hope for your team.
That's right.
You know, it all rests on your shoulders. So you're the one that has the most control, I think. Are you
Yeah,
in
if you're
control
gonna
for it?
pay someone off to win a game and make a big bet, you wanna go to the goalie.
Well,
That's
Absolutely.
good
not
advice.
that I ever do that, but
That's very important. If
yeah.
you
So
can
you got that, kids? So are you a control freak? Is that maybe that what goalies are control freaks? I mean, what is it that sets a goalie apart? I'm trying to
This
figure
man's
that
a
out.
pastor. He's a man of the cloth.
Just that, it's that battle, it's the fight, it's the,
But you can do that in defense and punch guys.
you know,
I don't know,
there
there's-
is a level of control. It's all on your shoulders. Look, when you're.
I'm gonna hypnoptize you and get to the bottom of this and find out what
I got
what makes a
some
goalie.
issues.
Oh, well,
We'll find some things.
I want to
alright.
find out what makes a goalie tick. That
You want
to
to
be
know.
on the receiving end. That's just something that's really always
I think
fascinated me.
What I've seen consistent, when we say fight, I'm not talking about hands
Yeah.
fight, although that's not bad either. But I'm talking about, there's something like when I played with Casey, I played with Mike Richter, I played with Dominic Hasek, I played with Andy Moog. There's something off on every one of them. They're just, and from knowing me, I think you see that.
Yeah.
There's
You're
just
not
something
wrong.
not there, not all there. But there, in every one of those men, there's a competitiveness that you just don't see in other places.
Or other players.
Other players.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
other players.
so-
Other sports. It's a game within a game.
Yeah. Okay.
And, you know, I think I talked about it the first time around. You've never seen someone as crazy as Dominic Hasek, in a good way. Like,
Sure.
just nuts.
Yeah,
If you
he
score
had
him.
psycho eyes. Like
Oh.
when they interviewed him, you could see that. He
But
was
he
just
also,
like,
again, he was controlled chaos on the ice.
yeah,
Yes.
that,
You know,
that's for sure.
flopping around, you'd say, "Oh, what is this guy doing?" Very unorthodox style.
Yeah, he's stopping goals.
And you can't get a puck past him.
Yeah, stopping goals is what
But
he was
I
doing.
think I
Yeah.
told you, he would not leave the ice in practice if you scored on him. He would chase you off the ice and literally drag guys back. They try to F with his head and they try to skate off the ice after they scored in practice. He would chase them in the locker room, pull them back on the ice.
He
and
couldn't
would
go out
not-
on that
No,
note.
no, absolutely
That's great.
could not go out on that note.
Yeah, that's good.
Wow.
Well, that's the kind of mentality, you know.
See, but I
since
love
you
hearing
won.
this because this is like pulling the curtain back, as you know, on things that I love to hear about the hockey and about how it is, really behind the curtain.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
you see these guys. They
Yeah.
have a different look about them. Their demeanor's different on the ice. You know, they've something's going on up there that they got to be ready for what's about to come at them.
Right, but again, the interviews, the in-between period interviews, you're gonna get nothing out of them.
No,
It's-
don't
it's
talk to
hearing
a
stuff.
goalie.
No, but I'm saying
Yeah.
any of the players.
Yeah.
But hearing
Yeah.
stuff like this is what I love hearing, because it makes it more real. It makes it more human-like, rather than the robotic interviews you get from the in-between periods.
Oh yeah. No,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Don't, you know, and you wanna talk about, the control, don't touch your pad, don't come by, don't talk to me, don't bother me. Don't, some of these guys are hardcore. You don't even look at them,
Yeah, there you go.
some of these goalies, you just go, just leave them alone. Just
You know,
don't.
that's the goalie, just, he'll be
Yeah,
okay.
It's a more animalistic approach, I guess, to a hockey player, I suppose.
So we're happy to have John Blue back, and there's been a lot of activity this summer. The season is about to start. It's an exciting time. I think I'm actually gonna go to
Are
a
we
game.
happy?
Oh
We
my
got
God.
hockey coming
I mean,
up.
can't, I just,
Oh,
I'm
how
as
many
happy
X Games
as a-
can you watch?
It's enough.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Just get going already.
I'm as happy as.
Well, some of the teams are still having some of the teams are still involved in their tryouts, and some of the PTOs, some of the players.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
You know?
tomorrow night, wait, Thursday night. We're taping on a Tuesday night, everybody, sorry. Thursday night, I'm gonna go to that split squad Kings. Some of the Kings are gonna be here, and some are gonna be in, Vegas. So I'm gonna go see them play in Vegas, with Mark Cam, who's the, team doc, the facial
Nice.
trauma doc. He splits with Chester Griffiths, who we've had on the podcast.
Yeah.
Interestingly, Mark's office is 17 feet away, and we haven't had him on the podcast.
No way.
So I gotta get him in here.
Yes.
He's a great guy. He's actually, he's a Quebecois, as a matter of fact. And scores speak that funky Quebecois. I don't quite understand them the way I understand French. I don't know if you speak French at all.
No,
But,
no.
but they don't either, evidently, because like when they're talking, like they're
Yeah.
speaking to each other, I'm just like, what is that? They're like, that's our English.
Quebec hockey players and the province, they're all whacked. They wanted to secede from Canada.
That was
Yeah, I
John
mean,
Blue.
the whole, I
a
love them,
lawsuit
but they're
record.
just,
Yeah, they've got issues.
Yeah,
Speaking of,
you want to talk about issues. talk
Quebec's
about-
definitely got issues when it
And
comes
the
to Canada.
Frenchies, man, they used to talk about me behind my back or in front of my face in French. I didn't understand anything, and it was, yeah.
It's probably
so-
better you didn't understand
Probably
what they were
better.
saying. I think that's
Probably
a
better.
wise choice.
Yes.
So what we wanna do is go over what happened this summer and what we're expecting for the season, since it is upon us. We just, it's what, 18 days? How many days? 17
I think
days?
it's
I don't know.
17, 16
T-minus,
days.
Yeah.
I kinda put two and two together, though. I am gonna be in
It's roughly
Dubai
2 weeks, roughly
on the
2
day the
weeks.
puck drops.
Ooh.
I'm gonna be in, I'll be
October
watching
4th?
it. I'll be watching it, if it's drops on October 4th, I'll be getting on the plane to come back that evening. So, cause it's 12 hours time difference. So I'm gonna be missing the first day of the season. I'll be on a very, very super comfortable business class flight back from.
How do you
Dubai.
do it?
I'll tell you how you do it. There's a trick to getting that business class podcast. I'll tell you how you get it
We wanna
for
know.
less than the normal price.
Whoa.
It's actually about a quarter of the price. But you got another trick. Anybody wants this on Instagram, will tell you how to get to Dubai for a very, very cheap price in severe luxury. It's really nice.
Nice.
Yes, that's right. And if anybody from Emirates Airlines is listening, feel free to sponsor the podcast. We'd love to have you.
Absolutely.
So anyway, and they do sponsor a lot of sporting events.
Yeah.
But I don't think Emirates has
Soccer's
gotten into
huge.
hockey though.
No.
No, they certainly sponsor the whining, crying children of the
Called soccer
soccer slash whatever football leagues around the world. It's very painful to watch. I can't even watch it.
I can't
In
even
fact,
talk about it.
Blue, I actually said this on the podcast. It's not good for the children to sit there.
It's dangerous.
It's not. They shouldn't see that. They shouldn't see grown men behaving that way.
No.
It's not right.
No.
Crying
I
and
would
like
agree.
kicking each other and
Yeah.
like squealing. It's no,
Falling
it's not-
over
it's
without
not
even
good.
being hit. Okay, don't get me started.
The only squealing I liked was Jason on the last podcast, when the concept that Iserman may come back to the Red Wings to be the GM, he did let out a little squeal.
You think that's what that's all about?
I squealed and I do it, yes.
I think you're.
Giddy's a schoolgirl, yeah.
It's like it's a real it is a real possibility.
Yeah.
I think you're on. I think they've got to get
Yeah.
it.
Well, I think, that's why he takes the one step down,
Yeah.
this year, and then next year, contract's up.
Yep. I agree.
Holland has one more year at that point, he'll be assistant GM.
Yep,
Okay,
I think
then,
I think you may be right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
And then your squeals will be totally worth it.
Oh,
Get
you
him
can
in
hear a
there.
lot more than squealing, I'm
Oh,
telling
I
you.
know
You'll
you-
know, trust me.
Get
I'm sure
Iserman
there's gonna be
in.
a full-on, 500-person party at your house to celebrate the Iserman return to Detroit. It will
Yes.
make the difference, I think.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Give him 3 or 4 years. He's got to rebuild that soccer.
He will.
It's but.
So I see you had some
I
headlines
have,
pulled.
I've got
Why
headlines.
don't
I've
you
got
drive
odds.
the train a little bit?
What do you want to start with odds?
Let's
Give me
start-
of who's pick to win this thing?
Oh, you think, you wanna go, you wanna go right for
Book-
the
I wanna
jugular,
go right
who's
to
gonna
the
win the cup?
bookmakers. What are the odds they're giving as we
For those of you
start?
playing at home, by the
Done.
way,
First
you
of
can't
all-
see this, John Blue has probably, 38 pages of notes. He has an
37.
abacus, a protractor, and some other device, I don't know what that is, to try to calculate this, but.
This is
important.
Yes, it is important information.
I am a geek.
By the way, nice cut. That's,
Oh, thank you.
that went out, that came out all right.
Yeah,
It
I
was on
told you,
Saturday,
no bald
right?
spot, I told you that.
Yeah, all right, that's good.
Yeah,
If
no,
you need
no
help, I
hair.
know the man.
I am not losing my hair.
I got a hair man for you if you are.
Thank you, but no, I'm okay, I'm
Get
okay.
another.
I sent somebody to him today for eyebrows. This poor lady has no eyebrows. I mean, they just are gone. I don't know what happened to them, if she tattooed them off or too much eyeliner, whatever. She, no eyebrows. And I sent her to this guy who's really great, named Mark Dower, actually. I'll say his name because he's amazing. He's in Century City, and he does eyebrows. And you can actually see, like, he has, like, stuff on the doctors and everything, but he uses hair grafts and makes eyebrows, so.
For the record, I have eyebrows.
You have good eyebrows. You're
For
good.
the record.
You're all set. All right, so
All
let's
right,
dive into it. Odds on who's gonna win it.
I think, let's go with the back end first. Who do you think?
How
is
about
the
the,
very,
here's your top 5 picks, in increasing order, up to the number 1 team you think is gonna win.
We've actually already made the calls of who we think's gonna win the
Yeah.
cup.
Oh, did you?
We did, but we're
Well, you,
not gonna tell you.
wait, who was your team? I can't remember, was it Pittsburgh you
I
said?
know, I think the Golden Knights are gonna win.
Golden Knights, right,
Yeah.
you know, I
Do
said
you-
Toronto.
Really? That's, I mean, I know you're,
Not, and I have no emotional ties to the Golden Knights whatsoever. Kind of a little bit, but you know,
sophomore blues.
but I do think they're gonna get there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they've made, I can tell you why, but let's go through yours.
Well,
Yeah.
give me your bottom. I mean, this should be a low-hanging fruit. They have just decimated their team and.
Oh, who's gonna be nowhere?
Yeah.
Canadians.
Well, Canadians too, but let's go with Ottawa and what they've done.
Oh, yeah, well,
That
yeah,
whole
Ottawa.
franchise is just.
The bottom feeders,
Just
yeah, I mean, this, they'll
absolutely.
definitely be Ottawa,
There
Rangers,
was-
and Montreal.
There was a really funny,
Forget about Arizona, New York, and.
there was a really funny
Vancouver.
survey that came out, actually, it had to do with, the NHL made this post. It was the GM from Ottawa was saying, I think our true fans know what our intentions are, and about 75% of us are with us. And they included the survey that they had, and the survey question was, do you think Ottawa is making the right moves in the offseason? It was 92% of them said no. So I don't think,
No.
I think I think the GM and the management at Ottawa are completely out of touch with the fans and the team and the league, and just have no idea. They don't understand and don't get it. And I feel bad for people in Ottawa. They were cup contenders a few years ago. I mean,
They were in the
yeah,
finals for the conference
Yeah.
with Pittsburgh.
yeah.
Yeah.
Only to be beaten in
Yeah.
overtime by Patrick.
And how do you go
Mahomes.
from that to this? I mean, it's astounding to me.
They're going nowhere. I agree
Yeah.
with you. Next year is going to suck.
Yeah, well,
To quote Ted Knight
Well,
from
yes,
Check.
very,
yes.
Very, well, another.
70s
Canadian-
movie.
No, 1980
Classic.
came out.
79.
80.
Oh, come on.
100%
Some
came out in
research
80.
on that.
All right, I'm gonna give it to you. You're probably
I'll
right. You
show
know,
you
you
now.
know, you know way more on that.
No,
than
I'll
I
show you right now, 1980.
Canadian team, we got Toronto at top of the odds. Is what-
Really?
what, 7-1
To win the cup.
to win the cup.
Jason Bergman picked it.
Thank
He
you.
picked it, followed by
Wow.
Tampa, Boston. and
Caddyshack
Nashville.
came out July 25th, 1980.
Glad you
Stuns
didn't
me
take a
again.
steak bet on that one.
I do owe some steaks.
I'm glad
by
you
the way.
bet that one.
Yeah, no, we definitely have a steak.
If you wanna win a
Come
bet,
on.
bet Jake Calvert. You'll win. You've won no bets so far this year.
0. I am 0 for like 5. It's
So,
terrible.
when we talk about odds, but who, you like Las Vegas?
Yeah, I like Las Vegas
They
because
got
I
them
think
11-1.
Well, I'm gonna put money on that, and I'll tell you why, because they made moves in the offseason with players that I think are really underrated, and I think the combination, the chemistry that's gonna be created there, I think they're gonna be really tough.
Oh,
this
just for
year.
the record,
Yes.
I have a $100 bet on Toronto to win the cup. My friend plays for me in Vegas.
You put 100 on Toronto to win.
Toronto wins. So
All
I
right.
had the ticket at home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who do you think's gonna win?
Toronto. I wouldn't bet
Okay,
on it if I
you
didn't
are-
think it.
you
Yeah,
are-
I'm
you're
committed.
sold.
Yeah.
I think Toronto's got a really good chance.
Yeah.
I actually think it's Golden Knights Toronto in the finals.
Other than it's a Canadian team.
Well,
Yeah, we did talk about that last
But
podcast.
Canada's
When's,
due.
you know, the
Come
last
on,
Canadian
Canada's
team to
due.
win a cup?
It was
Do you
not,
know?
yeah, was it Montreal?
Montreal,
Yeah,
92.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Canada's
That's a while
due.
ago.
That's a long.
I was in
time.
medical school then. That's a
Goodness.
long time ago.
Yeah, Canada's way overdue.
You were-
We
I mean, it's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous that there's not been a Canadian team that's worthy of a cup in over 25 years.
I think-
That astounds me.
So I think the Canadian teams have made some good moves. I think the Jets are gonna do very well
Yes.
this year.
Yes.
I think Vancouver will struggle. I think,
gosh.
I mean, I could round table on the Canadian teams alone, but I think
Right.
out of the Canadian teams that we have, Toronto looks great. They've got the juice. They got freaking Tavares.
Gosh.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's a big move. And they were doing quite all right without him. There's one reason I don't think Toronto can win the cup. They still haven't dealt with it, but I know they will. They haven't dealt with their defensive woes. And they do need blue line support if they're going to get to the cup. They will have to take care of that sometime in the first half of the season, if not by the trade deadline, or they go nowhere.
Yeah.
Because that's where teams like the Vegas Golden Knights and Winnipeg and now the Sharks have.
What about a
real
veteran
power.
defenseman, like a Bieksa or someone else that could potentially come in, they could bring in, or someone else that maybe is just, off the
Leadership.
board, some leadership, at least to get some type of
They need that.
veteran.
They need like a
presence.
guy like Francois Beauchemin came in and did
Yeah.
that for,
There you go.
Anaheim last year. Or Brooks Orpik, who's floating around someplace, I don't even know, is he back to Washington? I think he
Yeah,
bounced
yeah,
and then
he did,
bounced,
he did.
right?
Yeah, I think you
Yeah,
were.
but that would've
he
been a good
boomeranged.
guy to potentially get into Toronto.
Brooks Orpik, are you kidding me?
Or listen, or you figure out a way to do something, get a guy like, lure a guy like Cam Fowler with a trade and bring him over to Toronto.
That would be sick.
That's the type of situation, and I
He's
can
from
definitely,
Detroit?
yeah, he is.
That
I'd
is-
love to be in Toronto.
That's
Yeah.
a February move.
It is a
Teams
February
are
move,
out,
when they're gonna go
that'll
after
shake
someone,
out.
Cam
Anaheim's
Fowler
not
would be a
getting
choice.
anywhere this year.
When they're,
Anaheim's not gonna go anywhere this year.
No.
They need to start dumping some of these contracts, some of these players, and kind of start a rebuild. And one of the ways you do it is by getting rid of a great player like Cam Fowler, who's going to be commanding a lot more money coming up soon.
Big time.
And, you get some for him. Listen, the worst mistake a team can make is what the Islanders did when they let Tavares go and got nothing.
They got nothing.
they
No.
got Lou Lamoriello. Why do they need players?
Well, this is before
I know before.
before Lou came in,
I
right,
know.
but my point is that you
But they
can't
have
do
nothing.
that. You can't do that.
Why do you think Lou took that? You think he thinks he can really rebuild that franchise? I mean, he
I-
must. I mean, he took it.
Look,
I
There's a
think
couple
he sees
things
promise there, they're not down and out.
Okay, so
They're not Ottawa.
we had Anders Lee
Yeah.
on this podcast, and he said, there's a new building coming, there's a move there. He felt very strongly that the franchise is on the rise. He didn't say and I'm sure they're gonna trade Tavares, but, he felt all the other pieces were there and growing, and that, what's his name, Barzal.
Yeah. Great young player.
Is he worthy of the C?
Gosh, I think if you're looking at all the things you're saying in rebuilding, I think I go with a young guy like that and just go, look, we're not talking about today, we're talking about the next 3, 5, 10 years. So like an Iserman who came in, was he 19?
Mhm.
How gave him the C? I don't think it's a bad move. Now, the reason I like the Islanders is Barry Trotz. The guy is
Yep.
He's a
legit.
master.
Now, it's not happening in the next year or two or ish, but he's a quality coach, a quality human being.
Just won a
He
cup.
just won the cup.
He won the cup, but he is a.
Call me and Khalifa, tell her that Barry Trotz is,
Oh.
I mean, she was crying over it.
Yeah, she's not happy about that.
Mitch Korn, who went with him, who was the
Yep.
goaltending coach for
Amazing.
Holtby,
That's
which
right.
I have yet to repent, which I will, because if you remember the last time I was on here, before the playoffs, I was all over Holtby. And he did exactly what I wasn't sure he could do, and was fantastic. And I love it.
We
I
talked
absolutely
about that
love
too, a little bit, like his ups and downs. I mean, he doesn't play cranking consistent all the time. I mean, he goes through like slumps, like real slumps, like painful to watch slumps.
Yeah. But
And,
part of that though is, how many guys do you see playing that many minutes?
well, that's true.
So it just kind of exposes you a little more than the average guy, but he's running.
So who else
40
do you have
plus
besides,
games.
besides Toronto and,
Well, the odds makers
yeah?
would be,
What do you think as far as?
I'm
your list?
telling you, San Jose, when they picked up Carlson, I
Big
love
winner.
them.
I wonder what the
Love
odds
them.
jumped from the pre.
Yeah, this was
pre-post.
prior to that, so I
What
don't know.
was it prior?
I don't, what, 22 to 1.
Let's see what it is now, just out of curiosity.
10 to 1.
I love
10 to
that.
1?
Yeah.
10 to 1.
10 to
There
1
you go.
for the Sharks.
Yeah.
Are you a Sharks fan?
Yeah.
Oh,
There you go.
yeah. All
There you
right.
go.
They're gonna be tough. I mean, the West in general.
First of all, the Sharks have a lot of talent.
They've They've got a lot
They're
of talent.
loaded with talent. That Logan Couture is,
Yes.
he's just a ball buster when it comes to, like, he's in tight games.
So far, also, the move
He
seems to have
jumps.
done wonders for Evander Kane and his off-ice
Oh,
issues.
Kane,
I'm happy for him, because he's a good
Amazing.
dude. I
You
mean,
got
at least he's
two,
now.
three of the top D in the.
No, but I'm saying at least he's now, you know, not having any off-ice problems
Yeah,
anymore.
he's
It's-
tough as
he
nails.
obviously had to get out of wherever, you know,
Yeah, Buffalo.
yeah, but, yeah, right, and he's doing
Look,
well
if you
now.
were stuck in Buffalo that
Yeah,
long, you'd
well,
be crazy too.
You do it, yeah, you know,
There you go, look at it.
yeah.
he went so crazy he became a pastor.
Right.
Right, the other direction, exactly.
He said, you know, I don't like what I'm gonna do here, I gotta go
Let's
the other
go.
way. Yeah.
San Jose is scary to me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
The
they're-
West is scary to
it
me.
just changed on a dime like that.
But,
Are the Penguins still that high?
yeah, that's the
How
only
is that?
interesting.
I don't think that's right.
Yeah, hey, I'm just reading what they tell me. But
So they got.
12-1.
So
they're
they
saying.
have Toronto, Tampa Bay, Boston.
Yeah,
Boston that high?
yeah, they got Boston at 3,
Nashville Predators, Golden Knights, and then Pittsburgh.
and Pittsburgh.
I would put Pittsburgh lower. They haven't done anything to make that team stronger.
Letang said he's feeling better than ever. I mean, I know it's just one guy,
You know,
but I
but
mean, it's.
Letang had, his injury was very real. He doesn't play the same way before.
Right, but
he did
he's
before that
come out and
injury.
said he feels better than he did prior to the injury. That's, I mean, that's,
Let's
what he
hope.
says, yeah, so
I mean, if
like,
Letang steps it up, it's a big deal.
it's a huge.
He had
it's
a hard year
it's a
last
game
year.
changer.
Did
Of course
not go
he did.
well.
He didn't, but he also didn't have much support.
No.
You know, it all came to on his shoulders when
Justin
he's injured,
Schultz and-
right.
Yeah, but have no fear, they signed Jack. That's their big.
That's their
move.
big move.
And-
That's the
and
big
that's,
move.
Back in,
The
you know,
big
they
move,
paid
Jack,
him-
Jack Johnson
Yeah,
to the
Jack
defense.
Johnson,
of
paid
the-
him 16 million for, what, 5-year deal? I don't know
Listen,
if that's the deal.
The
that-
wheels came off that team when they got rid of Trevor Daley and Ron Hainsey. I mean, those two guys, they were
Hard
the
and-
reason that they were able to stay in it in the year before and win that cup.
Yeah,
Those guys
No,
were great.
they were solid, but hey. now you
Trevor
got
Daley
Jack.
would be you talk about blue line support, that'd be
Yeah.
one to pick up to
Listen,
Toronto.
we just could use an extra pick for him.
Yeah.
Get something for him, you know.
Yeah,
He likes
yeah.
playing Detroit.
Hey, hey. Sorry, I'm just getting all these NHL notifications on all the preseason games that are going on.
games
I'm just
going-
checking out.
going
But,
off.
you know, preseason is not anything to watch. I mean, preseason's all, you know, just, you know, sorting out who's getting in and who's getting out, kind of thing.
Little known fact, preseason, who was the goalie who played against Mayon Rayon in Tampa Bay in '92? The only woman to play a professional game. Who was the other goalie?
John Blue.
Hey, there you go. I beat a girl.
No way. Did you? You beat a girl? Good for you, man.
Preseason there.
Shit.
She was
I
amazing.
probably wanna rephrase that sentence.
Moving around.
Wait a
bit.
second,
Yeah.
that's right. Hashtag me too, don't say.
You gotta be
it.
careful.
Yeah,
That's
be
right.
careful with that.
But that's
You-
interesting.
you-
I didn't
you-
know, I didn't know that a
Yeah,
woman
Boston.
ever played in it.
You were
preseason
announced
game.
victorious
It was a preseason
over
game.
a female competitor.
There you go.
But hang on a second.
Season game.
There's never been a female that's played in an NHL game.
No, not in an NHL game. There was preseason. A lot of it was, I mean, she was fantastic, but there's a big PR kind of.
Interesting, I would think that goalie would be the place that that might be the entry point to get into the NHL.
Was
The
that,
men's
just call me,
Well, I'm just saying that you don't have to, the body weight, although look at like a guy like, you know, like Johnny Gaudreau weighs 157 pounds. And he's what, 5'7"?
Yeah.
So I don't know that you have to be a huge hulking dude to play hockey. I think with the rules changing, it does pave the way, I think, for a blending of
Yeah.
the male-female, or gender, whatever you like, which is the new thing, since you can't identify genders anymore. You have to be
We're
whatever
going
you want.
We're
I don't
going
wanna
there.
go there,
We're not
but,
going there.
but anyway, so
Okay,
that's the thing. Good for you.
Good. Good for me. Okay, so, I wrote down some of the top headlines.
Good,
I
yeah,
think,
well, we wanted to talk about the player movement.
okay.
And I also wanted to ask you about Nate Schmidt and his drug issue and what it was like in your day, if they were even doing drug testing or seeing if people were using steroids.
It was, you know, gosh,
Bring it on.
it was early on in, I remember when they introduced drug testing. It was
Were-
89.
Yeah, because it was around that time that people got interested
Yeah.
in the baseball players.
Yep.
And so then I figured it had to come to hockey at some point, but
I was
today
in
it's.
Kalamazoo, and true story, I won't give the name away, but they'd come down and, you know, it's an interesting time, because everything started changing in the late 80s and 90s. Guys with their training, used to come to training camp to get in shape.
Right.
Then I remember going to camp, or going to an orientation with the North Stars, and I signed with them, they said, no, you gotta come to camp in shape, we're gonna start testing you on these things, which they hadn't done for years, so guys are getting trainers, they're starting to get in camp, drug testing came in, but I'm in Kalamazoo, and there's a player there that was a tough guy, I mean, just freaky tough, and, he was a few short of a full deck. Great guy, but just not all there. Anyways.
So he was a goalie then?
He was tough guys and goalies are right, they're both, Anyways, they announced that we're gonna have a drug test, the next day. This guy came up to me and he said, look, I need you to piss for me.
Really?
I'm like.
So he was using it, that's why it was gigantic.
No, I don't think he was using steroids. And all the time, I'd never heard of any of the guys using maybe Cordic. Gosh, did I ever remember? No one using
No one
steroids.
was shooting like growth or testosterone or D-ball or anything like that.
If you smoking pot or
Oh, yeah, so
other
he might have been
drugs.
smoking pot,
So he said, I need you to piss for me. So, and back then, they wouldn't walk into the stall, literally, it was.
Yeah, you
they
just
gave
go
us a
in,
tube,
you
go
do it.
in and
Yeah,
we
now
went
they
in.
watch you do it.
Yeah, now they watch, it's really just, so I was clean, did it for him and.
You did it?
Yeah,
Helped him out?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
that's a
nice, yeah.
teammate, you gotta do that, I do that for the same for you, maybe. So it.
If anybody
it
would
was
need
all-
it, it's Berkeley, because he drinks.
They told
Shirley
him, they
Temples.
said two things. They said the good news and bad news. The good news is you're drug-free. The bad news is you have the urine of a prepubescent 12-year-old boy.
Exactly.
Something's wrong with you.
Something's wrong, so,
We're gonna need to help you. But that's interesting, so that's when it started.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
because McSorley said that, like, the word from the coaching staff was like, you don't need to lift weights, just get out there and skate, and, we don't want you heavy.
No, it was-
And now all the guys lift, I mean, they lift weights, they do everything.
They're lifting tires.
Yeah, they do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it's a whole, the whole steroid thing, it just, the money's that big now, and do you roll the dice?
But again, the whole thing about steroids and the misconception is steroids, growth hormone, these performance-enhancing drugs don't help you with your eye-hand coordination. They don't help you give you natural
It's
talent.
not make you bigger or
It has to
stronger.
do with stamina and recovery time.
Recovery, that's
That's
the
the
big
key.
thing.
And even things such as some of the player or the cyclists used to do or have done with
Blood doping.
blood doping and everything else, it helps with recovery.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they test for that type of stuff with getting blood transfusion. They would donate their own blood, get their own blood at some point to give them more recovery. If any one of the sports players do that,
I don't think,
I don't think if it's even worth it for that type of thing. But
Yeah.
it's still that's the biggest thing. People were saying, I remember with the whole Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa home run race. Remember that?
Yes.
Oh, well, they're on steroids. Yeah, they may have had a little bit more power in their swing, but it doesn't help with the eye-hand coordination.
Yeah, no, you
And
still gotta hit the
that's
ball.
pure talent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still violating the game, but some of the other stuff you look at, go back to even the 1960s and the 50s. These guys are all doing greenies, which are amphetamines. There's always been some type of substance or something that players in all sports have used to try to get their mind going. I'm not saying it's a substance, but look at even nowadays, we see some of the players getting those ammonia capsules
Yeah.
before the game. They're waving in front of their nose to get them a little more alert and get them more amped up. I mean, is that considered substance? I mean, it's just, where does it end?
So the other big.
You know what I mean?
thing-
Like, it's just
I agree.
something, it's a
You still
foreign
have to be
substance.
good at the sport.
Right.
You still have to.
You still have to have that
You
innate
still have to
talent.
compete. That's
Yeah.
right.
Sudafed was huge when I was playing too.
Right,
You
'cause
pass around
Get you
you
wired.
need some sooties. Everybody's like popping sooties.
Yeah, well,
So
I mean,
it's-
they'll do a lot of things for you.
It has the
Help
same,
you with.
right, it has the same effect as an amphetamine.
Yeah.
Or Adderall is the
Yeah.
next one.
Yeah.
Everyone's gonna have ADHD now in the NHL, they're gonna be on Adderall.
Adderall.
You know what I mean?
Adderall
It's-
will be a good one to be on,
You
that's
know,
for sure.
it's,
I think, how do you, recovery is the big thing, I think. Like, I had after playing career, groin injury, and it helped. A doctor injected it, I could
Oh,
tell.
yeah.
It helps.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that was the deal with the Yankees with, was it A-Rod, the pitcher?
Yeah, Andy Pettitte.
Andy
Pettitte,
Pettitte. It was his elbow.
but he admitted to it, the
Yeah.
growth hormone, it helped him get over his injury, he never did it after that. So, the problem is, there's never been a double-blind study with these substances, whether it's growth hormone, D-ball, or any of the other actual anabolics, okay? There's never been really a very good controlled double-blind study that in reasonable doses, in small doses. What's happened is, you've seen these guys that are doing massive doses, or stacking, doing multiple different types of these, and they're getting these undue side effects and these massive, okay. What if the only studies out there for Tylenol, were people taking Tylenol for headaches, where when you down a whole bottle, everyone's gonna have liver failure, they're gonna deem it to be a dangerous drug and it's life-threatening. But if you do it in reasonable doses, small doses, is there some type of medical benefit that this could be something that could be used medically for players after they're rehabbing from an injury?
So tell me if this is true.
That's my question, and it hasn't been answered yet, and no one can really give me a good answer.
The way I understood, the way it was explained to me by a doctor,
Yeah.
an athlete will run a testosterone level of 1,200, 1,300, higher than the average male. At a 30-year-old would be, I think, 800 or 900.
Well, most of
is
that has
the
to do with
range.
the amount of exercise they're doing, that
Right.
will increase.
So it
Yes.
is increased. So let's say an athlete is running 1,200.
Right.
The average male is running 900. Now, what he explained to me is the issue is because they're so much higher than the average guy. Now you stack on top of that you're running into the 16, 17, 18, or whatever it is. That's when you get in trouble.
Right,
Because
but-
it's completely abnormal
But
as opposed
here's,
to just
but
a
the other
bump.
thing is, I don't wanna get too technical, but then you look at other hormones, what are called FSH and LH. These are follicular stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. These are two hormones produced by the pituitary gland that tell your testicles to produce testosterone.
Right.
When your body of any kind of substance is getting a substance, it's called exogenous, where you're injecting it in or taking it orally. If the body is like a factory, if
I'm surprised
there's,
you didn't wanna get too technical. But keep
okay,
going.
but
You
if,
used the word exogenous and then testicles.
I'm explaining my
before that.
terms,
I'm
I'm
just
explaining my
saying.
terms. I want,
That's a lot of
I want the
technical
people,
work.
I want the
Yeah.
people listening to understand what it's
Good,
about.
keep going, you're doing good.
That the body's like a factory, they're like a factory. So for example, if there's too much testosterone, then the pituitary is saying, okay, there's too much, stop the
It shuts
production.
down.
It all shuts down, so that if you tested for someone and said, let's say your testosterone's 1,500, but your LH and FSH, your stimulating hormones, are super low,
Yeah. then
they're
you
gonna know something's up.
You know something's up.
If
Yeah.
you're looking at your hemoglobin, the concentration of red blood cells in your system, hematocrit, okay?
Yeah.
If those are elevated falsely, that's something else that's seen with people that are taking anabolic steroids or testosterone supplements, because it's causing an excessive production of those.
Yeah.
So there are other ways to look for this, rather than just if it's positive or not in your
Right.
system.
Makes sense.
My point is that from a medical perspective, there very well may be a usage for these for these substances, but because of the stigma attached to them and the way they've never been studied, and maybe they can't, I don't know the logistics of it, you're never gonna see them used. And I think it's something that's a shame, because it could help some guys.
Well, and that's the big question, like, is there a way that they could become part of the game that's reasonable? Because, I mean, my feeling, it's like, do the best you can, get in the best shape you can, do the best you can,
Right.
recover as fast as you can, be safe as you can, all those things, then you wanna be, you wanna use whatever you can to do that,
Yeah.
why not?
The stakes are too high. There's too
Yeah.
much money involved. There's too much. It just is. It's what was the game cut? 27 games. What did he get?
25.
25.
20 games suspension.
20 games
20
suspension.
games.
20 games suspension.
Yeah.
Did they give any details on?
They said there's trace amounts of some substance in his, either blood or urine, we don't know, that told them that he was using,
Who else
that he
you got?
violated
What?
the program.
Yes.
So, what's worse, that or Watson from the Predators suspended 27 games for domestic violence?
Yeah.
I thought that was a very strong statement by the NHL that basically said, NFL, screw you. We're gonna monitor this. With the NFL, you get away with, some of the
Yeah, I mean,
suspensions. I think it's a very strong and appropriate response by
We
Bennett.
thought it should have been more.
I thought it should be more
We,
too.
we were like, sit him out for the season,
Yeah.
think about it.
Yeah.
I think
I think that.
Don't get a paycheck for a year and see how it
I'll
feels, and
tell you
maybe
what,
understand what you did was
there's
wrong.
no room for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
no, we
agreed.
agree 100%.
Yeah.
Who else you got on your list then? Who else do you think, okay, so let me ask you another question then.
Yes.
With all your research over here.
Are you mocking me?
No, who
okay, thank you.
are,
Not at
give me,
all.
give me 3 teams you think that are gonna surprise us this year.
Yes.
Coming out, that are gonna say, that maybe didn't have the greatest record last year, maybe are flying under the radar a bit, that you say, hey, listen, they may not do great, but they're gonna make the playoffs, they're gonna make a comeback season. Give me 3 teams.
Yeah, Philly, I think Philly, picking up Van Riemsdyk,
Yeah.
I think there's something, I just love Philly, so I think they could be a team
I mean,
that.
Giroux had over 100 points.
Giroux
I mean,
had,
come on,
gosh,
that's,
he's a great leader. I think they're a team that's
Jason
in a
Berkeley
good
put
position.
2 flyers on his Mount Puckmore.
well, okay, you caught me off guard on that, I had to
Well.
think about that, I know.
It's not off guard. I'm just surprised it wasn't 4 Red Wings.
I'm gonna my Mount Puckmore is in rebuilding as well. Okay? Who are two of the other teams? that you
Does
think
St.
that-
Louis count?
Yeah, but
Does
listen,
it, I mean, you know, at one of the headlines, I think the Blues, I think they put some pieces together this year.
here's my feeling, my
I think they had
frustration
a
with the
very good
Blues.
off-season.
They did, but my frustration with the Blues is that they always seem to have the worst timing. Okay.
Oh,
Okay, so-
totally.
so last year with the whole Stastny move,
Yeah.
they're making a run for the playoffs. They're trying to
Get rid of
grinding to
Stastny.
get in, and they trade away one of their best players. Even some of the guys on the team that normally you hear hockey players are fairly reserved about these things, were openly talking to the press that they were livid with the management for what they did.
should be.
And I agree with you. But what's St. Louis's deal? They had a great coach in Ken Hitchcock for years. They always seem to be on the cusp of something great and always falling short. Why? I mean, I noticed that when the Wings were in the same division with St. Louis, I would follow them a lot more closely.
Yeah.
But what is it about that team that just seems like they're cursed in a sense?
Great question.
Yeah.
And they
I
are.
like
They're cursed, aren't they?
Bozak, that's a nice signing, keeping him, O'Reilly.
I mean, Pietrangelo, I mean, they have great guys
Yeah.
on their
Oh, the
team.
players are sick. It's
And
a
they,
great
yeah,
team.
and they always seem like.
Tarasenko?
Tarasenko, they always seem like
Deadly.
they're, yeah.
Shen,
Deadly.
They always
These
seem
are
like they're
great
well-balanced, tough, big guys coming out of that division, and they just can't get it together.
Well, yeah, when you make a move like getting rid of Stastny towards the trade deadline, you gotta like scratch your head.
Yeah. Or you can get even period, why not wait till, see what you can get, in the offseason?
what's Stastny, 30 now, 31-ish, how old is he?
I don't
I
think
think
he's
he's
I
27.
think
Is
he's
he that-
28, yeah,
Gosh, it seems like he's been around forever.
yeah.
Well, yeah, it's.
Well, the name's been around, it's
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
it's 'cause-
NHL
Maybe that's it,
royalty,
'cause
you know?
that's-
They
Yeah,
are,
So-
that's for sure.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, and Lauren's reminding me, next week we are gonna have Jan Stastny.
Oh, well, there he goes, a good lead-in.
Just, that's right, chiming in, as now he's got a new job.
What?
He is a scout for the Vegas Golden Knights.
Nice.
His brother,
Huh.
his younger brother, is now on the Vegas Golden Knights, about
Yeah.
to go towards
Yeah.
the Stanley Cup. I'm telling you.
Do you like that signing?
I think, oh, are you kidding me? I am.
What's another
Stastny,
team?
Pacioretty.
So you
Oh,
think,
He's 32, so
Who?
they gave him a 3-year deal, Paul Stastny.
Paul Stastny's 32.
Yes.
Oh, wow, he's older than I thought. I
so
thought
you
he
think
was
St.
younger.
Louis is gonna come back here, maybe make the playoffs and?
I would like to see with the pieces they put together. I mean, I think the big question again, as usual, is Jake Allen.
Yeah.
Can he perform to that level? I mean, you
Right.
watch him some nights, you're like, brilliant. Can he consistently play?
Like a whole deal. almost.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
totally.
huge.
So, okay, so then
Offense.
give me a third team.
Third
that-
team
that's
that
one more team that
surprised.
you think that might surprise us, at least to get into the playoffs or show some real promise.
Let me just say this, I'm surprised at least at these odd makers, they got Washington 12-1. So.
I'm not
now-
surprised with that, I'm sorry, I think
That's
they
probably
lost their
about what
coach,
they should be.
yeah, they
Yeah,
lost
they
their
lost the
coach.
coach.
They lost, what's his name? Free agency. Oh, gosh, my mind's blanking right now, but they're not the same team.
Yeah.
Well, they're, without Barry Trotz, they're not. the same.
Without Barry Trotz,
Right-
they're
right-
the
right
same
out of the
team.
gate,
That's-
yeah.
Yeah, that's immediate, but,
Yeah, but
They're not-
they did re-sign Smith Pelly, I saw that.
yes, well, they should have. They
Yeah,
should be
he's-
giving, they
he's
should
super
let,
cheap.
back up the brake truck and give that
He's
guy
not
some
an
money.
expensive signing.
But they
you know.
should have.
Really good.
He deserves it.
Yeah, but he doesn't, they don't have to, so they got
I
him.
know,
and
they
he's
don't
locked
have to,
in.
but they, another team should have. Because
Oh,
he's,
he's got good things coming.
yes.
So here's the one that I'm probably dreaming, but I love is Edmonton.
No, that's,
It's just, the pieces are all there.
that's a bigger mystery than St. Louis.
Jason and I both went,
Gosh.
Yeah, well, it's a bigger mystery than St. Louis, I honestly don't know
We got
what,
issues with Edmonton.
That
those
may be
wheels
my-
fell off that car, boy, the first
The wheels
month
and
of
the
that
axles.
season. Yeah,
Gosh.
The axles are also.
yeah.
That car has had so many troubles, I don't even know how to even
But
explain
at
it.
some point, you got a new car. I mean, they just keep adding.
What did they do this off-season?
Well,
Help me out. What went well this summer?
horrible. Yeah, maybe that's just my bleeding heart.
Do they go to one of those
See,
escape rooms together and have like a bonding experience? You know, like,
Maybe a weekend at the Chopra Center down in
You get a
Carlsbad,
tournament.
that could help.
Well, there
They
you go.
need something.
They-
I mean,
they-
because
You
what
asked-
happened to
okay.
that team last year?
I
when they
know,
was
I know.
You're going like,
He
yes,
asked me,
this is
and
awesome.
I think it's a bleeding heart. I just love Edmonton, and I love the pieces, and I just want to, maybe I just want to see them badly.
I wanna see them badly, but they had
you know.
nothing last year. It was awful.
So we're being asked to talk about the Ducks for a bit, and I'm gonna go on record as saying, the Ducks are not making the playoffs. They need to unload some of their good young talent that they can get some picks for and rebuild, and start thinking about the future. I think it's over, Johnny.
There's a reason I
That's
think the
from-
Ducks will make the playoffs.
That's from Rambo, by the way, just so
Just,
you know.
I
My-
do.
My vote was from
82.
Rambo.
right, that's
You
right.
didn't, you didn't,
82.
That's good, 82.
yeah,
Yeah, nice. There you got the 80s reference in.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess the Caddyshack thing was already in.
yeah, still. You did that one.
I know.
I gotta be honest.
No, I'm sorry, I think,
so-
no,
Ducks.
the
Let's go
Ducks.
to the Ducks.
I didn't
Ducks
even
need
do
to-
any research on the Ducks, that's how bad it is. I'm just so,
I'm here to
they're
help.
so frustrated, I just go, God, the Ducks are gonna do
Okay,
it,
listen.
disappoint me again.
I am here to help you with the
Okay.
Ducks. This is the deal. With the Ducks, they have some amazing young talent that hasn't mobilized just yet. I think that if they are able to shuffle the decks properly and get a lot of their dead weight out and get some of the new talent.
What's the
in.
dead weight?
Well, they.
Name some names.
Well, I know,
Dare you.
did Vermette, I think he probably retired. I don't know if he's gone. I think Bieksa not getting re-signed. Bieksa had a hard year last year. He's a
Yeah.
good player. I think that they cannot look to Kessler to be Kessler ever again. He's not that player. He needs to change his game.
Time.
He's not gonna be able to do what he did around the net. His hip is not right. It never will be right, so he has to play a different game. And when I mean dead weight, I don't mean that they're dead weight, I mean that they're doing the wrong job. And I think I would ask Kessler to be a different player for them.
Does he have a different game?
He may, I think he.
I think he's that good, he does. but
Yeah,
he
he
doesn't know
does.
it yet.
I think he has a different
Yeah.
role on that team.
It's a hard mental shift for a player who's gone through a league and for lack of a better, dominate, just the way he
Yes.
plays the
Yeah,
game.
he plays
gets the
guerrilla
room
hockey.
and he plays, to shift into another is just, it's not easy.
Well,
No.
look at the
I
extreme,
didn't
look
say
at the Zetterberg, you know, because of his
Yeah.
back, and he's
Yeah.
done. I mean,
Yeah.
it's one of those situations where at some point, it catches up to you, and you have to change your game. If you can change your game, you can't keep up. I mean, it's not, you're holding the team back, I think.
So the Ducks have about 4 players that this year should be a breakout year for them. Josh Manson, who was a plus-minus leader last year on defense. And this guy wasn't a fenceman, and he got to the Ducks, and they said, no, you're playing defense. So he has moves, he can score, and he really has a game that has yet to blossom. Brandon Montour, also another guy who's now coming up through the ranks, amazing defenseman, also a guy that can replace Sammy Vatanen, which I thought was a big loss for the Ducks.
Yeah.
But they did get, what's his name, sorry, I'm blanking his name, not, Adam Henrique. So Henrique is a real player.
Yeah.
This guy is good. He's got game, he's got skill. They have to get the right combination since they are stuck for the rest of time with Corey Perry and Brian Getzlaff, who will be there long after you and I have passed away and gone to, you know, a different life as maybe a squirrel or mountain goat in some other part of the world. Perry and Getzlaff will still have their contracts with the Ducks.
Yeah.
They have no trade clauses, and they're for 49
No
years.
one's- no
So
one's
they
gonna
will
touch
not
them.
be traded.
Yeah.
So they are there. So you have to find a way to use Getzlaff and Perry and have guys like Ricard Raquel, should be good for 35 goals this year. We should be good for, if we get Patrick Eaves back.
Yeah.
Eaves could be good for something as well, probably on the order of 20 goals.
Yeah.
So, and then you look at Henrique, and you start to see this guy, Roy, R-O-Y,
Yeah.
he's coming up. So there's real talent there that I think we could see some action for the Ducks. I believe it's gonna be close. They probably will not make the playoffs this year for the first time in a very long time, but it's possible.
All right. Well, all right, do you want
How's
to
that
go
for
to
the
list?
Ducks? Lauren, did that satisfy the Ducks' questions?
Absolutely.
John
love-
Gibson, amazing.
Yeah, how do you know?
Gibson, tell us about Gibson. I mean, this guy's like, he's one of the top players in the NHL.
He is, keep him healthy, and keep him on the, he's still in games for you. He's still in games.
I thought that there might be a chance that Pittsburgh would make a play for John Gibson.
Really?
He's from Pittsburgh, his wife's from Pittsburgh, he wants to get back to Pittsburgh, all people from Pittsburgh
Have
go
you
back to
given
Pittsburgh.
up on some goalie that won you 2 cups in Pittsburgh?
I haven't given up on him, but they need a second goalie.
Yeah.
And I think that's their second goalie, and John Gibson would be their first.
Who is their second goalie this year? I didn't.
Nobody, and that's the thing, is Murray can't do it alone.
No.
That is too much for him to bear, at
Yeah.
22 years old or whatever he is now, 23.
Yeah,
I think it's
23,
too
2
much.
cups, and it's already.
Yeah, he's got
it's
2
crazy.
cups, he's 23, he did great last year, but it was too much for one. It wasn't that he had a bad year, it was too much for Murray as the only goalie.
Okay, let's shift back to your Ducks. Can they go deep in the playoffs?
No, but they can get in.
Okay, you don't think there's enough talent there to go deep?
I don't think there's
I
enough.
think there
there's
is
enough.
enough
There,
talent.
there
It's
is.
just, I mean, you look, I think there's enough talent.
There's
Can they
talent.
bring
Yeah, they
that
have loads of
together
talent.
and make it happen? I think that team is, I think a very, very talented team that can make a run if they can gel and get some.
They have most of the stuff that they need, but they are missing they're sort of like the Kings, they're missing big firepower up front. It's not that they don't have firepower, but it's just not enough. The Ducks really have a great defense.
Yeah.
They got Hampus Lindholm, they've got Josh Manson, they've got Cam Fowler, they've got a great goalie. And did they keep, I don't know if they kept Ryan Miller.
Yes,
But so
Ryan's still there.
they've got
Yeah.
Miller and Gibson, great tandem pair.
Yeah.
And then what they need is they need offense. And they have a lot of like two-way players. They don't have anybody that comes out on the ice and the other team goes, oh crap,
Yeah.
God damn it. You know,
Well,
what are we gonna do
if-
about so-and-so? They don't have that guy. You know, they don't say, I mean, Getzlaf's amazing, but they don't say, hey, you know, what are we gonna do about Getzlaf?
So that's my point. If Getzlaf and Perry play to the potential that is in them,
Oh, forget it.
then you go, okay,
Yeah, then
there's
they're-
those guys.
Then they're there.
You know who I like they picked up? Just a little known name out of, he was with New Jersey last year, Brian Gibbons.
Yes?
Little guy.
Yeah.
Flies.
Yeah, he's
Can
great.
Fly all over the ice. I think he's gonna bring a lot of energy. I think penalty killing and get him on the second, third line. I think he's gonna help the team.
They need to get some of the role players to be step
So we're
up.
being asked about another topic, which I can field this if you want, about Philip Zadina.
Oh, yeah.
The first round pick for the Wings that fell into our lap at 6th pick.
Huge.
So.
So much so that you were gonna buy a jersey.
Oh, I'm going
With
to,
his already?
I'm going to get, no, I'm definitely, when he gets his numbers
He may not
set.
even make the team, but.
No,
Jeez,
well,
got a
I
jersey.
think he'll make the team now, with Zetterberg being gone, there might be an opening, but the issue is, he was the number 3 overall prospect coming into the draft. Fell into our laps, the number 6 pick, thank you Montreal. But,
What do you think, right?
but,
Take credit there.
but the
Do
thing,
anything
the
right.
thing is, they had the recent prospect
Built a
tournament,
homage.
recently. And one of the things that I was following along with some of the highlights and a lot of the clips of what's going on. There were some issues with this game that, one of the things was he liked to keep and hold the puck too much. And some of these guys,
Zadina?
yeah, some of these guys that come out of the juniors, he played for, I think, Halifax for the Moosehead. They get used and get comfortable because they're faster than just about everybody else. They get used to holding onto the puck too long. They used to basically a lot more puck possession, not passing as quickly as they're supposed to. And the difference in the NHL is it's a faster game, and I don't care how fast you are, someone's gonna be on your ass in 2 seconds you got that puck.
Definitely.
And he got drilled. In particular, one time he got drilled, and I saw the clip, and I said, oh, he's done. And he got up, and I guess he played, yeah, he got drilled. And I think the thing he's gonna have to learn is that he's really just gonna have to get rid of the puck quicker, change his game a little bit, up the ante a bit, and I think, believe it or not, he's been playing with, and this is a great line, Athanasiou and Thomas Vanek. So you got a young guy and you got a veteran on that line.
That's a line.
You put either him, yeah, you're right, you put him in that line.
That's a
And,
line.
yeah, and listen, you got the 2 kids and an old goat again. You know, it was like it was Datsuk and Zetterberg with Brett Hull.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's one of those situations where he's gonna find his game.
How old is he?
19.
19.
You know, 18,
That
19.
jump is tremendous.
It's tremendous, but some
He's-
guys can just do it. Dylan Larkin did it seamlessly, had a bit of a sophomore slump,
Yeah.
but then came back, and he's done really well. So I'm
My point
confident
is he's gonna be fine.
he's gonna be fine,
He's gonna be
Rasmussen's gonna be fine. The picks the Red Wings and the talent have between Joe Hicketts, Veleno, they have guys coming up out of the farm system that are just gonna be lights out. And I'm really excited to see what's gonna happen with the team over the next few years. I don't think we're gonna make the playoffs this year. I think there's a little too much, especially now with Zetterberg being out, and the team's gonna go through a whole transition now.
That's a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
Yeah, that hurts.
But when you have guys like Zadina coming up, and it's really encouraging. I mean, I remember the Twitter reaction when the Wings picked him. Literally, there were like Montreal Canadian fans exploding, screaming.
They should be.
You know.
They should be.
You know, how
That's
could
a
they-
mistake.
Yeah,
That's a mental error.
it's, yeah. And,
They
and
should've
even
scooped
though
him
the
up.
Wings need defense, and we're badly in need of defense, and there were some great defensemen, even after Darlene was picked, there were some great defensemen in this, you have to go with the best player available in a draft.
Yes.
And that, I don't care
Absolutely.
what it is, at the very least, you develop them and you can trade at some point, but you gotta go with the best player available.
Where are you at with Howard?
Well, I mean, Bernier's the backup now,
Right.
so I don't think there's any,
That's a
you
great-
know.
I think that's a great pickup.
It's a great pickup,
He is.
although he doesn't know who Nelson Mandela was. I think that was the whole big thing about it. Remember that?
No.
I
You
think
didn't
they-
know who Nelson
I think they
Mandela
asked him
was?
who Nelson Mandela was.
Was
I
he?
think- Yeah. very
Kidding.
funny. That was- If I remember correctly, there was a bit of an issue. Double check that if you want to.
Like, they don't pay him to know about.
Is that in your notes?
But
But double check, I think it was.
They
an issue.
pay him to stop the
But
puck.
listen, Bernier, I always just thought has been a solid backup goalie. I don't think he was in Toronto before, I believe. I don't think he really was a number one goalie. He's a good solid backup. He'll give you 20 games, 25 games. But I think Jimmy Howard just never got to that elite echelon where they were expecting him to. And I think that we have to develop, we have some other goalies that are developing in Grand Rapids.
So who's starting? Is it
It's gonna be Jimmy Howard,
It's gonna be
100%
Howard.
Jimmy Howard, no
Yeah,
question.
but Bernier can
And
carry
we,
it.
push him.
and we still got that pick we got from Mrazek,
Yeah.
that we picked in the draft, and we got great players in the draft. So it's just gonna be time, it's gonna be time for us to develop these guys and.
So let's shift back to California. Let's go north to LA.
North,
Kings.
LA.
Yeah, we were the Ducks.
We were the
Now
Ducks.
we're moving north to LA.
Oh, okay,
There
from
you
north
go.
from the Ducks.
Yeah, just right,
Anaheim.
yeah, right up from Anaheim there.
Okay.
You know where it's at. What are your thoughts on Kings?
This is my thoughts on the Kings. I think that they have a better team this year from last year. But I do think that they still are suffering from the level of, they need more excitement on offense. I'm very disappointed with their
They did
performance on
pick up
offense.
Kovalchuk.
Right.
Hasn't
but-
played the NHL since
That's, I was just
13.
gonna say, now again,
I was gonna
What I
say,
said,
you
right.
could-
elite
yeah, yeah.
player, but here's the thing, it's a different game in the KHL. It's a slower game.
Kovalchuk's not the answer.
He's not the
No,
answer.
no,
I even said, we talked about that when he picked him
Skating
up.
in stilettos agrees.
Yeah,
Thank you, Christy Flannery, skating in stilettos.
it's a
dot
different
com.
game, he's gonna take, I bet you
Yeah,
looked,
no way, I mean,
No,
there's.
I
it'll
no-
take at least a year to get his game
Hear
caught.
Let's
the hint
Skype her
of-
in here.
You didn't hear the
Yeah.
hint of sarcasm when I said that, obviously.
Yeah, I know.
I did.
But.
I mean, no, Kovalchuk.
listen, he's a great player,
Yeah.
but the problem is when you've been around guys, that you're the best player on the ice and the game is a lot slower.
How about
When
the
you get-
contract they gave him?
I-
They paid him to be a top player.
A franchise player.
18 million.
Yeah.
For 3 years.
Don't you think that could have been better spent on
Oh,
defense that
yes.
they're in need of?
Well, their
Absolutely.
defense, they're the number one defensive team. This is the thing that's going on for the Kings. And then this is where things have to change then. Jeff Carter is a great player, but he's aging. Andrei Kopitar is a great player and had probably one of his best years
Yes.
ever last
And-
year, and is aging and doing that. And then you have all the support players who last year, to me, were a huge disappointment. And I think if you listen to the podcast from last September, I was cheering on Tanner Pearson, Tyler, what's his name, Toffoli, and then, who's the other guy, Kempe. I looked at these three
Martinez.
guys, Martinez is great,
Yeah, well, Rochester Hills, truck guy.
there you go, but these
Get him
three
back home,
guys,
bring him back home.
Kempe, Pearson, and
Gotta work
Toffoli,
that in.
Yeah.
I felt like they were the secret, like if they could come out and each do 18 to 22 goals each, which they definitely can, then we would have something there. And they didn't. And the Kings, like, their 5-on-5 scoring percentage is something that, like,
Was it like 23rd in the league or something?
wasn't pretty.
like that?
Yeah, it was something, it was like amazing that they made the playoffs.
I quoted that before the playoffs started,
That's
we
right.
talked about
And
the
it was,
stats.
it was something where it was like, how did they even make the
Their
playoffs?
penalty, the power play was terrible.
Yeah, but their penalty kill was amazing.
Penalty kill was
They
amazing.
had lots of stuff
But
that
the
was
power
really
play,
good.
it was just so imbalanced.
So the Kings they gotta score goals. They gotta find a way to, like, the problem is if you're not scoring goals, the other team.
Well, that's why they brought Kowalczyk in. I just don't, Kowalczyk, excuse me. I don't think that's the answer though. I
Nope.
think you could've gotten two really solid goal scorers for that money.
And they had remember they got Dion Phaneuf late in the
Yeah.
season? It's like they didn't chase on
I've
this
had
team.
enough
They
out of
went
you.
for it.
I'm waiting all day to say that.
Yes, we can see.
I'm so glad they didn't.
I
Did it.
I'm here every week.
That's right.
Tipping wages.
Thank God.
Well, then let's go to when we is the window, has it closed for the Blackhawks? Let's go over there.
Oh.
Do you think that
Well, I'm still savoring them not making the playoffs last year,
I-
so.
Didn't
I
make the
mean,
playoffs.
frustrated. Talk about how frustrated you come. You know,
Oh,
they basically have been. We're talking about as the dynasty. You know.
Well, the word
last-
dynasty's thrown around
dynasty's
so
over.
easily
But
around here. It's not a
They got
dynasty.
cups. They got
Got
cups.
three
They are
in
dynasty.
how many years? In 5 years?
They are.
Three,
The Marion
right?
Hossa years
Yes,
are now
you've
over.
got to, you know.
Because Hossa retired, right?
Yeah,
Host-
he had
yeah.
a skin disorder.
Hossa's
Hossa's gone.
How old was he?
Sharp.
Do you even know how? I mean, he's still a good hockey left in him.
Not really.
Really?
I think he was 35
Was
or
he?
6. I don't know.
Patrick Sharp retired.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So,
Hossa retired.
Charleston, I mean, he's taking a lot of mileage. I mean, he's not, I think he's, isn't he on
Johnson
Dallas now?
No, he's on the Coyotes.
Oh, right, but when he went,
Yeah.
but did he go to Dallas? He went to Dallas from Chicago. Was that Sharp? Was it?
Oh, yeah, yes, I believe it was.
He was Sharp, went to
He came
Dallas,
back.
and then he came back.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, Tays had, it's one of his
Yeah,
worst
Charleston, right, he's in
seasons.
Arizona, right.
Tays
exactly.
did terrible.
Worst season of his
Yeah.
career. He's in his 30s, Kane's in his 30s. I don't know, they're coming off a frustrating.
That was a tough year, and
Yeah.
Brandon Saad did nothing after I was
Well,
totally pumped up.
It's really weird, some of the players that did great with them initially came back to the team and just never really did much.
Brandon Saad, Syrian American from Pittsburgh, as we got last week.
There you have it.
But I thought he would have a great season going back to his team, you know,
Yeah.
getting away from.
Listen, you have back in the back office, you got Stan Bowman and you got Scotty Bowman advising you.
Okay.
And you're wondering, is there a disconnect with this team or the owners or something going on now?
Something.
I mean,
I don't know.
Well, you lose Corey Crawford for, you know, the majority of the season.
Mhm.
You got some guys that aren't, it's just is it an off year or
Man,
will
the guy
they
from the
see?
stands came out and
And
made 7 saves.
Yeah.
so-
Scott Foster was his name?
There you go.
Yeah,
Well, that was
I
exciting.
love it.
yeah.
For those who don't know about it, there was a guy that, because of some unique rule, actually
Well, then you
came
need
out
a
of the
backup goalie.
stands.
There's always somebody in the
So
Somebody in the
stands.
stands who was the backup goalie,
Yeah.
who came out and literally stopped 7 shots.
Here's my
against,
question, okay, he's a goalie, here's my question, I think Kevin even brought this up last year. Why can't they get just some big, giant, bloated
Sumo wrestler.
sumo wrestler, slap 2 jerseys on a guy, and stick him blocking the net, and you have like a little crease over his shoulder, and that's it?
Because that little crease is all they need.
No.
That's all the shooters need. And if you're that
The guy
big
just
and
stands there
fat-
and blocks the entire net, why not?
There's holes, and if you can't move to those holes, they are so good,
But
and
it's-
so accurate. Boom, 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 boom.
There's no
Sounds
person that
good in theory.
fits the whole net, that's the bottom line.
That's
Remember
why.
the Van Bears Engelberg had
Oh, yeah.
2 jerseys to his
Yeah,
body?
absolutely.
Do the same thing.
Absolutely.
That's great.
I mean, it sounds
Come on.
good in theory.
Do
but
the same thing with one of the sumo. I'd like to just see it as an experiment.
All right.
The guy did it as a skate, just
We gotta-
duct tape some skates on his
We
thighs
gotta
or
wind it
something.
up, we gotta bring this home somehow.
Oh.
Don't bring it at home with Tom Belushi.
I know.
We
We
didn't
can't.
touch Rick Nash.
Let's do that.
Just real
Hang
quick.
on.
You can touch Rick Nash. I don't,
You don't wanna
I'll
touch
stay
him.
safely over here.
I mean, I was reading and
Check
trying to
your
figure out
fingers
what
after you touch
Yes.
this.
his agent is saying. Nothing has changed. They're still. I gotta believe that he's just gonna sit for a while, feel good, and then jump in at some point. Maybe not, cut some of his season off and
I
then
don't
jump
know.
in. I don't know. I like him.
Oh,
I
yeah.
like,
Rick Nash is a huge. Yeah,
not
that's
at
good.
7 million, but
No,
you
I
pick
mean,
up
he's
a
got a-
Nash for a few mil. I think he's a great addition.
Well, he could go somewhere for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know why that was a good idea for Boston.
Yeah, I think they thought.
I think his better years are definitely behind him.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
But
I agree. He was the player that year.
he plays 200 feet.
Yes, he does. He's a
So
great player.
it's not just, him not scoring 40, 50, or 30 goals, whatever it is.
Well, there are no 50-goal scorers
There
anymore.
aren't that anymore. No, those days seem to be behind us.
I think the 40-goal scorers are
Yeah,
gonna be
I
rarer and
think,
rarer.
well, what they're paying 30 and 20 goal scorers is crazy.
I know.
So that does tell you that everything's adjusted down. So if you're scoring 20, you're scoring 30, you're gonna make some nice change.
Yeah, and you need to, because they need those goals.
Yeah.
You need that out, if you can get that kind of production out of a player, looking for somebody for 40 goals it's gonna be a rare bird. I mean, this Patrick Laine for the Jets, dude,
Yeah.
he is the real deal.
He
I
is
bet he
the
does
Jet.
it again this year.
Yeah.
He's deadly.
Yes.
That guy's fun to watch.
Shoot the puck.
Yeah, I
Shoot.
mean, what do you think about the Jets? Do you think that they've got
Oh,
a shot?
Hellebuck, yeah, I think,
He's
just
real.
So, he's real. He's a real deal, and I think they've got some good pieces. I think they could, very well go deep into this playoff run, especially after tasting that last year and the excitement and the craziness that went on.
The West is gonna be big. This year's fun.
Yeah,
There's good teams, Sharks, you got the Jets, you got the Golden Knights, I mean, it's on in the West.
absolutely.
The Kings will be good again, the Ducks will be good again, they'll be out there, I mean, even Dallas might do something this year, I don't
And
know.
don't get too crazy.
I'm not gonna get crazy, I don't wanna get crazy, I'm just trying
I don't know if,
I'm trying to just pump up our Mia Khalifa, you know,
Yeah,
she lives in
she-
Austin, she goes to the Dallas game, she's like, I gotta
Okay.
root for him, I was like, that's a hard one.
Tough
That's
one to
tough.
get.
I mean, but they did sign that big contract for, what's his name, I mean, oh God, I can't remember the blanket's name.
Ben?
No, they did keep Ben.
Yeah.
The other guy.
The other
That
guy.
scores
Okay,
goals on the
we'll go
team
with
once in a
that.
while.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm blanking.
We'll talk about Dallas next time, how about that? We'll
No,
do more
we don't
than
have to,
that.
we can skip it. We'll go on to, we can always talk about our favorite John Tortorella and the Columbus
of
Blue
course.
Jackets.
Love it.
Yeah, I think they'll do something this year.
He's gonna have to.
Yeah, he has
This
to.
is the year, and they've still, because.
They still have all those great
They've
players.
still got great players and some contracts that'll be up after next year that they've, Bob's contract is up in goal. He's got one more year on his.
Wow, so he's gonna
that's-
play big this year.
He's gonna play big this year, and they've gotta work around signing some guys. They got a good
See,
shot right now.
You got a guy like Bob onto the wings, you got a new team.
Helpful.
I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah,
that,
that's very helpful.
I'm just saying, the free agency next year is gonna be big, especially with the prospect of Eiserman coming back to the team, which I still can't get out of my head. But,
See, there it is.
There it is.
and listen,
Take back your man card.
there's, no, it's okay, that's fine. If it means
He
I,
doesn't care.
if it means the
He
cat
doesn't
coming
care.
back home, that's
He's
fine,
like,
I
he gets
don't
take it.
care.
If the big
Jeez,
Y's
we'll
back
take
in
it.
Detroit, he'll
I'm fine
give
with
up his
that.
man card, he doesn't care.
What about Marlowe in Toronto? Patrick
It's not
Marlowe,
gonna be a good year this
39
year.
years old.
This year will not be.
I think he's done after this year.
You got, what,
See,
maybe,
this is
you
your-
don't
this
think
is
he's
your
gonna put
first
those
one.
numbers?
No.
Oh, yes, I'm ready for a bet on that one. So we need to look at that one for another stake, cause I love the guy.
You didn't even need the
I
first
love
steak you
Thornton.
got with him.
Good point.
He's gonna get the steak.
Great
Yeah.
point.
What,
I know where
Conway's
to
in on
find
that
it.
deal.
The
That's the whole
longer it
thing.
lasts, you're gonna
I
end up
said
going
we
to,
transferred over and he paid half.
Sizzler or
Let's
something
go
from-
right over it.
Good idea. All right, there you go.
Con.
what, now I'm somebody mixed in this whole thing?
Yeah.
You're paying half.
Hey, wait a minute, I didn't, leave me out of
I don't
this.
think you have any choice. That's-
Thornton, let's go, how about Thornton?
Oh,
Another one.
big year was, for Thornton will have a big year. He's still playing great.
I know.
He's gonna have a big year.
Jay, quick fan question, I know where you're gonna go with this, I should probably ask, John. Who do you think is more of a influence on the team, maybe a better scorer, just overall player at this point, is McDavid versus Crosby?
Oh, God. My.
Going into
biggest-
this season, who would you
Going-
rather have on your team, or who do you think's gonna have more
Oh,
points?
I-
How about that?
McDavid.
Yeah,
Not
McDavid's gonna
even
score
a
more
question,
points.
more points, and,
Yeah,
and I think.
definitely.
You put the two up and he's won his cups, he is one of the great all-time top, what, 5'10"
But
players.
Crosby's, he's up there in
But-
age.
Yeah,
I mean, he's definitely,
I saw a stat,
He's-
and don't quote me, cause I'm not exact, but it had Crosby and Gretzky at the same time in their career, and he was off by like 1,000 points. Under what now, great player, top 10, I don't know, arguably
Top
20,
15.
15, right in there. He's
He's
got
up there.
his cups, he's got 3 cups, and he can, but Connor McDavid.
Yeah, if I had to pick right now, I'd put
Yeah.
McDavid.
I agree.
McDavid's on my Mount Puck
I
board,
agree.
which nobody asked me about that last podcast, but McDavid's up there for me. I think that guy is
Gosh.
outstanding. And he
Such a
definitely,
player.
he won that bet for Kevin Conley last year because I felt like his team wasn't gonna support him to the 100 points. Doc Emmerich agreed, but he did the 100 points anyway. Granted,
We got it at the very end.
at the very end he got there, he
Yeah.
came out like on
I
fire.
called you
but-
during your podcast and said.
I know, you owe me a steak. Chi-Chi is, also bumming too.
Yes,
I'm trying to get her to
yes.
cough up the $85 for that steak, and she won't do it. I don't even understand what
I
her
don't eat
problem
red
is.
meat, so I'm not getting involved. Leave me out of your
Get a salad.
shenanigans.
No, you're in, I will leave you in it. You
Give
are
me a
in
good
this
piece
one.
of
That's
fish
it.
and I'll be good.
Damn that.
They have fish over at Mastro's, you're good, man, don't worry.
Yeah,
Yes.
sea bass, that's what I want.
Done, you're in. They have a black cod that is killer also, but when I go to Mastro's, by the way, big steak, that's what,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry.
what
I mean, old Emerson Eaton was in here, he's vegan. He's
Is
like,
he
dude, you
vegan?
guys gotta get on the stick here. Like, I don't need to eat this stuff.
Yeah, you don't get a body like this being a vegan. Come on.
That's true.
No.
That's a good point.
No.
All right, well, let's go around, just, I wanna go to the finals of the cup, just once again, just I wanna put it on record. From the East, you're saying John Blue,
I like Toronto.
Toronto, you're saying
I think it's San Jose, Toronto, and I think I'll go with Toronto to win the cup.
San Jose, Toronto win the cup for Berkeley,
I was going San Jose, and I like San Jose.
San Jose to win the cup.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's just, again, that's
All right,
an
just-
emotional
that's-
pick.
that's
but
a- that's good to have an
I
emotional
love,
pick.
I think they have the best defense in the league now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good
Yeah,
choice.
Carlson.
I think
Jones is.
mine is a
excellent
non-emotional,
goaltender.
my non-emotional pick is the Vegas Golden Knights based on their moves in the summer. But I think it's Toronto and Vegas in the Stanley Cup Finals. But, who knows, there's a lot of great teams this year, there will be moves made that will change those things.
Everyone here's discounting Tampa, discounting,
I think Tampa's not, I think they've got some
Winnipeg.
issues. I think Tampa's great, but
You
I don't
think
think.
Nashville has run their course?
I think they have run
I
their
think they
course.
run
I
their
think
course.
last year was their chance and they didn't.
they had a
they didn't
window
make
about
it.
2 or 3 years, and they just couldn't get there.
Yeah. Great
All right,
run,
well,
great
let's,
run.
we'll figure it out. I mean, I just want to, again, thank our sponsors, Indochino.com, for, being there for us on this podcast, and also Drink Aid. I don't know if you knew that, but the Never Too Hungover has changed names. It is now Drink Aid.
That's a surprise.
Well, you need to go
I
onto.
will have to go on there.
You'll have to go on drinkaid.com, use our
Yes.
promo code hockey to get
I
your
love it.
first round of Drink Aid,
All right.
25% off, John Blue.
I'm in.
And the next time you and I go out drinking, we'll have to have some Drink Aid, so.
Absolutely.
Anyway, we want to thank our sponsors. I want to thank John Blue for coming in again, sharing his pages and pages of wisdom. He prepared wisely for this podcast, as always. And Jason Berkeley, it is almost sundown, so you better head out of here. It
I'm
is-
okay.
Are you good? You sure?
Yeah, I'm already going to hell, so it's not gonna.
No, I'm going to atone tomorrow.
It's okay.
I'm not even Jewish,
No,
but
no,
I
no.
still feel the Day of Atonement is proper.
It's long gone, it's gonna need a lot more
I
than one
take all
Yom
I can
Kippur. I'm gonna
get.
need about
Sake.
at least 3 weeks of Yom Kippur to do anything.
I'm
so-
telling you, we should roll it out for the rest of the week.
Right.
I'm with you. But you guys, it was great having you in, great to chat about the upcoming season, thank God it's starting. So
Yep.
this is the
Yes.
Dr. Hockey Podcast, signing off with your prescription for the NHL.